Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shrutismriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Kesavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krito Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः गुकारस्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ भद्रङ्गर्णे देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः विषेमदेवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ ब्रह्मविद्यासम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो नमः ॐ प्रज्ञानां शुप्रतानैः स्थिरचरनिकरव्यापिभिर्व्याप्य लोकान् भुक्त्वा भोगांस्तविष्टान् पुनरपि दिशनोद्भासितान् कामजन्यान् पीत्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् स्वपिति मधुरभुङ्मायया भोजयन्नः मायासङ्ख्यातुरीयं परम् अमृतमजं ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोऽस्मि सृष्टिरिति सृष्टिविदः लय इति च तद्विदः स्थितिरिति स्थितिविदः सर्वे चेहतु सर्वदा यं भावं दर्शयेद्यस्य तं भावं स तु पश्यति तञ्चावति स भूत्वासौ तद्ग्रहः समुपैति तम् एतैरेषो पृथग्भावैः पृथगेवेति लक्षितः एवं यो वेद तत्त्वेन कल्पयेत् सोऽविशङ्कितः स्वप्नमाये यथा दृष्टे गन्धर्वनगरं यथा तथा विश्वमिदं दृष्टं वेदान्तेषु विचक्षणैः न निरोधो न चोत्पत्तिः न बद्धो न च साधकः न मुमुक्षुर्न वै मुक्तः इत्येषा परमार्थता प्राणः प्राज्ञः बीजात्मा. The बीजात्मा, which is Hiranyagarbha, prana shabda here is used for Ishvara or Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is not separate from Ishvara. And like we saw in the first Agama Prakarana, it is the bija, the avyakrita vastu, avyakta, which is also called as prana, is the one which is the Srishtikarta. The Karana Avastha, which was spoken about, in fact, there was a big discussion in terms of what is the difference between Prajnaha and Turiya Avastha. Is Turiya even an Avastha? What is the difference between Turiya Vastu and Prajnaha? Where Sarvam Drishyate, Sarvadrik, it was shown that the Turiya, the Chaturiya Atmavastu, Brahmavastu is Sarvadrik, Aluptadrik, is the witness for everything. In fact, it is the only existence. Therefore, Prajnaha Bijatma. Whereas this Prajna or Hiranyagarbha or Avyakta Sajñakaha, which is a Maya Upahita Brahmavastu, is the Bijatma from which everything comes forth. Everything comes forth like we saw in the same Agama Prakarana, how the Omkara, when you continuously keep chanting Om, 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 the Makara is where everything attains the Laya and then comes forth. So when you do a Punarukti of Omkara, it was shown that Om, 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 if you keep saying, you can see that it is the Makara which stays as the continuous thread, and the Akara Ukara keeps coming out of it and going back into Pralaya. So it was shown similarly, the Prajna Bijatma is from where the whole Srishti comes forth and goes back. That Pranaha, Prajnaha, Bijatma, Tasya Karyabhedaha hi itare stityantaha. All the other things that are seen are distortions on that Prajnaha. Like in the Makara, this Akara Ukara. Ukara stands for every other sound. E, A, I, Ka, Ja, whatever, right, is all represented by Ukara. Therefore, all sounds come forth and go back into that Makara in a Omkara chanting. Likewise, all the variations are coming forth out of the Prajna Bijatma. And there are many Karya Vedas. There are so many things which are in the manifest Jagat. There are limitless manifestations. Within that, there are limitless philosophies. Every person has his or her own view, world view. And there are some who have come forth and presented that as their philosophies or theologies. And many such sampradayas have come forth because many have become so called acharyas who have put forth their prophecies and propositions and theorems, hypotheses about what the world is. It is like many blind men looking at an elephant, and each one gives his or her own view that elephant is like a pillar, elephant is like a snake, elephant is like a tree trunk, elephant is like a broom, elephant is like a fan, elephant is like a rock. Each of this and many more are vadas, points of view. That is what here Srishti is iti Srishti Vidaha, Layaha iti cha Tadvidaha, Stitihi iti Stiti Vidaha. Each one of them is a vada, somebody's point of view that everything is Stiti, everything is Srishti, everything is this and everything is that, everything came out of 31 principles, everything came out of 25 principles. So people look at it differently, but all this is where you get up from deep sleep. Deep sleep is where there is no anubhava. Even as an individual, we are talking here. Deep sleep, there is no anubhava. Individuality also is not witnessed there. Then, according to karma, phala, you have an experience either of a dream or waken. The combination of your punya papa creates a combination of experiences which is called your waken experience. And that waken experience also comprises of all this vada and teaching and learning and whatever. It's all part of that experience of world which comes forth from your swarupa in the form of your karma anubhava. That is a fact. Nobody can contest that, right? Even your conclusions of what is this Jagat is also part of your vacant state. And that vacant state happens through as a sequence of experiences where your own karya karana sanghata, body mind sense complex itself is given to you. Your thought process also is given. It just flows. Certain inputs are received from the environment, and then your mind reacts based on certain knowledge you already have. That is all part of the world experience that is going on. So there is nothing absolute in this. It's all a pravaha. And one such pravaha is this sampradaya, which is your Vedanta Jnana. Now that is where it's all Ishvara Anugraha only. There is right and wrong is all a pravaha. Now let's see this. That is where I think we saw in the last session itself. Bhashyakara also spoke about it. How everything becomes a blessing. अन्ये च सर्वे लौकिकाः सर्वप्राणि परिकल्पिता भेदाः रज्ज्वाम् इव सर्पादयः. So everything is superimposed on the prajna bijatma, the prana, which is the truth, the makara, on which every laya, everything rests, and everything has to go back to that. Rest is all temporarily seen on top of what is permanent. There has to be something on which everything else has to be seen. Okay. We already saw Bhashyakara spoke about it. Niraspada cannot be a non-existent thing, cannot be an aspada for your error. If you have to make an error, you have to make an error on something. Something has to exist on which you make an error. So kalpitatvam laukikaha sarva prani kalpitaha bedaha. So everybody looks at the world in his or her own way. There is a Jiva Srishti, there is an Iswara Srishti. I have my own world view. Every object I see in my own coloring. Everybody has his or her own sunglasses through which they see the world. Their own mind, their own samskaras, their individual's own vasana also colors how the world is seen. And then there is a Ishvara Kalpana. Ishvara Kalpitatvam is also there, which is what has come forth as your experience. And that Kalpita Jagat also that includes time and space. The world you see today versus world someone saw 100 years back was different. And what somebody will see after 1,000 years will be different. And even today, one person's world is different from another person's world. It's one big mass of varied experiences. Sarve laukikaha, sarva prani parikalpitaha, vedaha. It is all parikalpana, all rounded distortions to the oneness which is there, which is the Atmaswarupa. Rajvamiva Sarpadeha. Like things are superimposed on the rope which is not recognized. Avikalpita Rajvam Parikalpita Sarpadeha. The Vikalpana, Parikalpana of the snake, etc., on the rope is there. It is purely Jiva Srishti. The person who is seeing this snake there, it is for that person only. The snake is for that person, not the next person. Next person doesn't necessarily see a snake there. But the uniformity is nobody sees a rope. Only the person who has gained the insight of what is there has if somebody brought a torch before you were there and they have seen the rope lying there, that person knows it is a rope. The remaining people are seeing only snake or strip of water or a stick, and maybe three people see snake, four people see stick. It doesn't matter. But even out of those three who see snake there, each person see it as different brand or breed of snake. Okay, so there is a variety of experience there in terms of what exists. So one person say the world is Visishta Dvaitam, somebody says it's Dvaitam, somebody there is no uniformity in how things are created. It's all random. Someone says it's a Sankhya theory, whatever, right? That is about the philosophies. But then there are Laukikas also who see world like scientists see it differently. The regular normal people see different. All that is part of the samsara, Jagat Srishti itself, which has come forth from what? Prajnaha Bijatma. तत्शून्ये आत्मनि आत्मरूप अनिश्चय हेतोः अविद्यया कल्पिता इति पिण्डितः अर्थः आत्मनि आत्मस्वरूप अनिश्चय हेतोः the hetu the reason is आत्मस्वरूप अनिश्चय आत्मनि अविद्यया कल्पिता so both are important. Atmaswarupa Anishchaya is there, and Atmani Avidyaya Kalpita Vastu is also there. So that is what we call as Avarana and Vikshepa. So because you don't know that there is a rope, everything else has come forth. Atmani eva, and where has it been superimposed? On the same rope which you don't know what it is. It is not a non-existent, nothing is there and you are seeing a snake. There is a rope. But since you don't know that it is rope is where the Anyata Bhava is there. That you have to be very, very clear on this. That is why when people call it as Mayavadi and all that, it doesn't make sense, because we see the Shastra sees everything as Satyam. There is no Mithya or Maya, okay? But you are seeing your ignorance only, we are talking about Maya, Mithya, all that. Finally, all that is here is Brahman only. Atmani eva avidyaya kalpita. Everything that we are saying is kalpana is Atma. This is not just Maya. It is all Atma. The wall is Atma. The sun is Atma. So that's where in Sandhya also we say no Asav Adityo Brahma Brahmaivahamasmi. That Aditya is me. So if Aditya is me, everything lighted up by Aditya also is me. There is nothing other than Atma. Everything Idantaya, whatever you see is also is Atma only. Atmani Atmaswarupa Anishchaya. And why are you seeing the Jagat? Because Atmaswarupa Anishchaya is there. That Swarupa Anishchaya. But then you will ask, if the Swarupa Nishchaya has taken place, will I see the sun and moon and the mountain or not? Of course you will see, but not as separate from you. That is where the only issue is. The separateness is the reason for samsara, dukkha. There is the perception, the viewing of a sun or moon is not a problem. Taking sun and moon as different from you, not sun and moon, everything as different from you is the source of problem. And that is avidya. So this anyata bhava, it's not like, so why I am again and again saying this is, you shouldn't think that exactly like in the example where the snake goes away and rope alone is seen after you gain jnanam. Here also, all the sun, moon, star, earth will vanish and only Brahman will be seen. There you won't see any sun or that's not how what it is. It is the nanatvam. You still see the pot, you still see the lid, you still see the jar, but then you see them as clay which is in the form of pot, clay which is in the form of jug, clay which is in the form of lid and all that. Therefore, the differences go away in terms of what is the vastu. So a pot broken, you won't say something is lost. Pot which the clay which was in the form of unbroken pot is now in the form of a broken pot. That's it. So the clay exists, always existed. Similarly, this Atma Vastu is what all the time always existed. This always is a word for time, and that alwaysness also has no existence other than it being the Vastu which is Brahman. Iti pinditaha artaha. Pinda means putting rounded. The well-rounded meaning of all these 30 odd vadas is that they are atmadhyaropita thing which is due to avidya, ignorance of what is your swarupa. Atmani atmaswarupa anischaya hetoho adyastam avidyaya kalpita. Due to ignorance of swarupa, it is superimposed. प्राणादिश्लोकानां प्रत्येकं पदार्थव्याख्याने फल्गुप्रयोजनत्वात् सिद्धपदार्थत्वात् च यत्नः न कृतः. That we already saw. यं भावं दर्शयेद्यस्य तं भावं स तु पश्यति तञ्चावति स भूत्वासौ तद्ग्रहः समुपैति तम्. यं भावं दर्शयेत् यस्य तं भावं स तु पश्यति तं च अवति सः भूत्वा असौ तद्ग्रहः समुपैति तम्. We briefly saw this. Pranadinam kim bahuna. By all these things, what is gained? Pranadinam anyatamam uktam anuktam va anyam yam bhavam padartham darshayet yasya acharya. So pranadinam means all these manifested views, philosophies, prana iti pranavidaha, all these things. Anyatamam uktam anuktam va, whatever is revealed or taught or inferred from what is taught. Anyam yam bhavam padartham darshayet. Darshayet here. What is shown by yasya acharyaha, by one's guru. There are these 35 whatever philosophies which we discussed here, and anything which is beyond this philosophies which are not counted here, when revealed by acharya, by the so-called gurus. Why we have to qualify it so-called acharya? Because this is a philosophy created, right? It is not come from a sampradaya. So all this initiated is not true to what exists. The person thinks that's how it is. Okay. So there is no malified intent. When somebody looks at elephant and says it's like a pillar, it is true to that person's perception. That's all. That's why Satyam and Ritam, there is a difference. Right? One is you tell what you are seeing, what you are seeing. So you are truthful to your own perception. The other is what you are saying is also eternally true. Then it becomes the real truth, right? Similarly, here, because this person is true to what that person believes as the source of this jagat or karana for the jagat, that is fine. But what the person is talking about is not really the truth, because there are that can be seen through the contradictions through what is coming forth. Therefore, you can't call truly as acharya. But because that person who teaches this is an acharya because he's a teacher. Okay, purely is a teacher. Okay, that teacher, when that person acharya anyo va aptaha, the person who is considered as an achiever, as somebody who has gained by the people who are following them, idameva tattvamiti. Okay, this is what is the truth. Iti, that Acharya has taught, is teaching. When taught, Satam Bhavam Atma Bhutam Pasyati. That Bhavam, that is what is Sankhya Tattva is what is truth. Ityeva, that Sishyas will see. Because there is a Guru Sishya tradition is there. So at least these students who are going to learn from that guru, they have Shraddha. They are going because they think, they understand that they don't know the Satyam, the Tattvam. So they try to go and learn from somebody who they think are the known, knowledgeable people. That happens today also, no? That there are so many gurus. So whoever appeals to whoever goes to that guru. Atma Bhutam. And then whatever is told, the person tries to have a commitment to that and tries to see the truth through what is being taught. Atma Bhutam Pashyati. Ayamaham iti va mama iti va. Okay, this is what I am or this is what mine is. Okay, because Ayamaham, this is what I am, is one part of the teaching. And this is how I am related to everything else is another part of teaching. Especially when you take everything as real and you say there are 31 tattvas or 25 tattvas or 19 tattvas or whatever, then you have to see yourself in the context of those tattvas. Where do I stand? How are the other things related to me? Like this, you have to understand. No, then only you can understand what is this Jagat. So once that understanding for that particular frame of philosophy has come about, then that tancha drashtaram saha bhavaha avati. When somebody has that knowledge occupies that person and protects that person. Yam bhavam darshayet yasya tam bhavam tu sa pashyati tancha avati. Okay, that every philosophy, every kind of, because these are all some either astika darshana or nastika darshana, but these people are shraddhavan only. They have some shraddha, they have some commitment to a study, and that study, through that they want to understand and gain moksha, however it is, any theology, any god believing, for that person that particular thing protects. Ye yata mam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham mama vartma eva anuvartante, in Bhagavad Gita Bhagavan says, no. So because that kind of a philosophy also has come about through certain karma. So whoever is teaching also has certain composition of karma. Whoever is listening also certain composition of karma, punya papa. So that kind of a thinking, that kind of, it's also Ishvara only, you know. There is a niyati which is making you understand it in a particular way. But because you have a shraddha towards it, that protects you. Because that is also Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara. Every thought, even person who is believing in what we call as wrong theology, whatever, is Ishvara only, and that also is part of Niyati only. So, in a sense, everything is that way. In a sense, it's wrong also. Within the frame of right and wrong, you look at it and say this particular world view is wrong because this is what is correct. That also is part of Niyati only. Everything, eventually, if you look at it, is part of the Ishvara Niyati only. Therefore, that's why it avati, even every prayer protects. Every shraddha, in a sense, protects that person. So that does not mean that somebody who takes to a wrongdoing, that wrongdoing protects. Here we are talking about some siddhantas which kind of tries to look at, if you saw whatever we saw, they are all about some points of view in that 30 odd darshanas that were spoken about here. This is trying to explain how the Jagat is so that the person has some kind of understanding and moves forward, correct? That's all. So we are not talking about people going after some, wrong kind of theologies and then killing others, and that doesn't protect or anything. So I mean, we shouldn't make it a very sweeping statement, but even that is within certain niyati. Okay, right and wrong are both the Ishvara. No? So that's where we have to understand that only through karma model. So that's a wrong. If somebody does something, again the karma takes charge of it, and that is Ishvara. Karma also is Ishvara. Therefore, when somebody has Shraddha on a particular thing, that protects that person in a sense. Yo darshitaha bhavaha asau saha bhutva rakshati. Swena atmana sarvataha nirunadhi. And it protects that person and protects that person from other kinds of thinking also. Because you get committed to that particular Siddhanta. Because you consider yourself as someone who is a Sankhyavadi. Vada means you basically take yourself as somebody who belongs to that. That is a sense. So it's this not openness slowly comes to an end. Okay. Because you are committed to that. Therefore, sarvataha nirunadhi. Tasmin grahaha tadgrahaha tad abhiniveshaha idameva tattvam iti saha tam grahitaram upaiti. The person who does a grahana, who has taken up that particular thing, he or she is committed to that. Tasya atma bhavam nigachyati, becomes tadbhavam eva. Okay, yeah, whichever bhava, yad bhavam tadbhavati. So if you get committed to one bhava, and that bhava takes over you, is what it says. Yetairesho pritag bhavaihi pridageveti lakshitaha evam yo veda tatvena kalpayet so vishankitaha. Yetaihi pranadibihi आत्मनः अपृथग्भूतैः अपृथग्भावैः एषः आत्मा रज्जुरिव सर्पादिविकल्पनारूपैः पृथगेवेति लक्षितः अभिलक्षितः निश्चितः मूढैः. So here he uses the term मूढैः because now while we accept there are all these are part of niyati and pravaha, but since each of them are mutually contradictory, everything can't be truth. There can be only one truth. Either this is a rope or a snake or a danda or a dara. There cannot be compromise. So what we said was the fact that somebody takes it as a snake is also within niyati. If it is within niyati, should we leave it as it is where the question is. So can we accept all of them are okay? Like we read in the history books, no? There are many philosophers. Shankara said it is Advaita, Ramanuja said it is Vishradvaita, Madhva said it is Dvaita, this person said this, that person said this. Each one had a different philosophy, everything is equal, and then somebody synthesizes all this. Is it okay to have that way? So then it's a democratic thing, right? All people, everybody keeps their thing, and together we are one. All that, like we can talk like that. So why are we now saying this is correct and that is wrong? Mudaihi and all that. Because the person who takes the rope as snake, the person who takes the rope as snake is impacted by that imagination, because the person has a fear of snake. The snake makes him afraid. That is where the problem is. The samsara, if you take it as real, when it is not real, it creates dukkha. By assuming the world is comprising of 31 tattva or 25 tattvas or 19 or 16, whatever, does it liberate the person? So it doesn't. So if it doesn't liberate, then your dukkha remains. You are still baddha. Because of baddhatvam, the samsara creates problem. So therefore, it is necessary to show that all that is here is Brahman only, Atma only. And every other thing you have to show it is not true. It is for the benefit of that person. Therefore, we have to say show that this is mudatvam. When you assume this rope as a snake, that is not right. So there is a need to show what is superimposed versus what is the reality. Etaihi pranadibihi atmanaha apritag bhutaihi apritag bhavaihi eshaha atma. So this is apritak. It is not different from atma. Whatever you are seeing is not pritak from atma. In fact, all you are seeing is only atma. Pranadibihi atmanaha apritag bhutaihi. All the superimposed things. Rajjuriva sarpadi vikalpana rupaihi pritag eva iti lakshitaha. You think it is separate. Rope is separate from snake. But no, all that is there is only rope. Abhilakshitaha nishchidaha mudaihi. But muda, the people who are ignorant think they are all different. There is this, I am different, world is different. Whereas Vivekinam too, the person who has the ability to distinguish between what is the truth, Rajvamiva kalpitaha sarpadayaha, na atmavyaptirekena pranadayaha santi. So the superimposed sarpadara, etc., is not separate from the Rajju. Na Atma Vyatirekena Santi. Without Atma, there is no exist. No, nothing exists without Atma Prakasha. That through Yukti also you can know. Shrutivakya also is clearly revealing that, cementing it. Idam Sarvam Yad Ayam Atma. Idam Sarvam, what is seen as this world, is Ayam Atma. This Aparoksha Atma only is Idam Sarvam. How can it be? How can what is seen as an object same as the subject? So there are Vishayi and Vishaya, how can they be same? This is what is called as Bada Samanadikaranyam, Badayam Samanadikaranyam. Samanadikaranyam is in the same locus, in Samane Adikarane, in the same locus, various words are used. Then it is called Samanadikaranyam. Neelam Mahat Sugandhi Utpalam. Suppose you say the blue lotus. The blue, large, fragrant lotus, lily, whatever, lily, if you say, then the pada samanadikaranya, padayam samanadikaranya. The words are in apposition. All of them are in first case. Idam sarvam, first case. Ayam atma, first case. Correct. So, Neelam, Mahat, Sugandhi, Utpalam, the padas are in apposition, which is in the same first case. But padartha yoho Visheshana Visheshya Bhava. Utpalam is Visheshyam, Neelam Magat Sugandhi, it's Visheshanam, the adjective and substantive. But that is not the case when you say Sthanurayam Purushaha. The log is a person. Suppose you say the person doesn't have an adjective attribute that of logness, nor does the log has attribute of personness, because one is Chetana, the other is Jada. So in this case, it is not Visheshana Visheshya Bhavaha, nor it is a Lakshya, Lakshana Lakshya Bhava. It not indicate something else. But it is Bada Samanadikaranya. Badayam, one gives way for another. The Purusha gives way for Sthanu. So there is no Purusha there, it is only Sthanu. You are superimposing a Purushatvam on the Sthanu. All that is there is only Sthanu, is what is revealed. Similarly, here also, Badayam Samanadikaranyam. What you are seeing as Idam Sarvam is only a superimposition on I am Atma, that this is Atma. This Aparoksha Atma is what is seen as Idam Sarvam. Otherwise, Idam Sarvam is not a Visheshana for the Visheshya Atma, nor that is something else which is Lakshitam. So here the Samanadikaranya is Badayam Samanadikaranyam. Idam Sarvam Yadayam Atma iti Shrutehe. Through this Shruti, what Shruti reveals is whatever is seeing this Idantaya Grihyamanam Yad Jagat. Whatever is seen as this cognition is not separate from the I cognition. This I is what is there as this also. In every this, the I pervades, and in fact, there is nothing other than the I which is seen as this. Iti abhipraya. So, this only this pranatma, bijatma, prajna, which is in the form of all this. Now, if you take this idam as separate from atma, then why 35? You can look at it in hundred thousands of ways, because it's a superimposed unreal. Unreal can be many, but what is real here is only one. And because that is the content, substance in every experience. Evam आत्मव्यतिरेकेण असत्वं रज्जुसर्पवत् आत्मनि कल्पितानाम् आत्मानञ्च केवलं विकल्पं यः वेद तत्त्वेन श्रुतितः युक्तितश्च आत्मव्यतिरेकेण रज्जुसर्पवत् असत्वं रज्जुसर्पवत् आत्मव्यतिरेकेण असत्वं. See, this is what I was saying earlier. This Maya and all that Mithya. We are not saying the world is Asat. Shastra is not saying world is Asat. It says Atma Vyatirekena Asat. Without it being Atma, if you say it exists, then it is Asat. It is Sat only because of Atma. If you are in your mind, you think it is other than Atma, then it is Asat. That's what this means. Atma Vyatirekena Asatva means other than it being Atma, if you conceive it to exist, then it is Asat. आत्मव्यतिरेकेन असत्वं रज्जु सर्पवत् रज्जु व्यतिरेकेन सर्पस्य असत्वं. We don't say snake doesn't exist. This snake that you are seeing exists, but it exists as the rope which is there. So, in a sense, we have to say Sarpa doesn't exist. So people call, oh, Mayavadi, Mayavadi. Mayavadi, non-existentialist. We are this Buddha only. Advaitis are both. They came Buddha who came in the form of Shankara. All that crap. Sunyavada is very different. That is Mayavada. They say everything is Maya because there is nothing underneath. Here we are saying Atma Vyatirekena Asat. Everything is Atma. We don't see anything other as to be other than Atma. Shastra doesn't see any. Otherwise, these are all straightforward sentences. Idam sarvam yadayam atma. How can you give any other meaning for this? Very clearly it says idam sarvam atma. What else? You can't, if you don't understand, try to understand. Don't give your own meaning for it. That samanvaya has to be there for what is said to what, and it has to reveal. Okay, the akartika, it's going to talk about it later. Bhashyakara Shastra cannot tell what is already known, it has to reveal something new. Okay, and that is where this is Atma Vastu as Idam Sarvam is not known to you, it reveals. Otherwise, if you give any other theological interpretation to it, then that is not what Shastra has told. That is not the Artha of the Shruti. एवम् आत्मव्यतिरेकेन असत्वं रज्जु सर्पवत् आत्मनि कल्पितानाम् आत्मानं च केवलं निर्विकल्पम्. आत्मनि कल्पितानाम् आत्मव्यतिरेकेन असत्वं रज्जु सर्पवत्. Whatever you are seeing as this 31 tattva, whatever number, they are true so long as you see them as Atma. All the 31 tattvas are Atma. Being 31 tattvas, they are Atma only. Or being Atma, they are still 31 tattvas. This mountain you are seeing, the sun you are seeing, the earth you are seeing, the sky you are seeing, they exist. We are not saying they don't exist, but they exist as the Atma. Atma avyatirekena, it is there. Atma vyatirekena only, if it is other than Atma is what you are saying the sky is, then it is Asat. Kevalam nirvikalpam yaha veda tattvena. So once who has known this through Shrutitaha, it is primarily through Shruti. But Yuktitaha cha, it is not illogical also. Your logic supplements what is shown by the Shruti. It is rooted, it is strengthened by your Yukti. Augmenting the Shruti. You have ascertained that all that is here is Atmavastu. Saha Avishankitaha Vedartam Vibhagataha Kalpayati. Without any shanka, without any doubt, it is that Kanana Nyaya, something they say, right? The stamba. So when you put one stamba, one rod in the earth, it is a little shaky. Then you add mud, shake it, further pack it, again shake it, further pack it until it stops shaking. Like that, manana. You first do Shravana and then you add yukti to it. then it becomes avishankitaha vedartam vibhagataha kalpayet. The Atma eva sarvamiti. This jnanam becomes rooted. Then the person can clearly understand every sentence of Veda. Idam evam param vakyam adaha anya param. This sentence means this because it is in this context, and this is what is shown by this sentence. Asadva idam agra asid. Then you will get confused. How can Asad be the one that existed first? Then or the sentence, there is a vakya avidyena mrityum tirtva vidyena amritam ashnute. Vidyaya amritam ashnute, whatever. Avidyaya amritam tirtva vidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya amritam ashnute. How do I understand this statement? This vakyam, it looks contradictory. Then you have to look purvapara, upakrama upasamhara. Then you look at what is the context, but also from the overall jnanam of what is vastu, this vakyam also becomes meaningful. Idam evam param vakyam. This is what is meant by Shruti here. Adaha anya param. This is not meant, this vakya is not about Atma vastu. It is Arthavada. It is something else. It is about karma. You can have clarity. You don't have to see. There is one problem which modern Vedantis have. Everything they want to put Vedantic meaning for. Then they will stretch it. Stretch them. Not necessary. Why do you have to make every sentence as Vedantartha? Go with Sampradaya. They have people, our four Sampradayas, people have already looked at the Vakya. Mimamsa has been done. Context has been analyzed. And the Artha Nirnaya has happened. Then the Sampradaya is there because the Vastu Jnana has to come only from Guru to Sishya because it is a Pramana Prapta Jnana. So this Pramana Vyavaha Pravritti has to take place for one to gain Jnanam. So Sampradaya is essential. And the Sampradaya Siddham only is the meaning Artha. That has to be understood, taken forward. Idam evam param vakyam adaha anyat paramiti. That clarity happens when the Vastu Jnanam has taken place. Until that Jnanam has taken place, this 35 plus philosophies only you will run behind because there is no clarity. There is no Avishankita Vedartha is there. Vedanta is not there. Vedartha Avishankitatvam is not there. Therefore, like a blind man looking at elephant, all philosophies will come into play. This is what here Bhashyakara explains. Nahi anadhyatma vit vedan jnatum shaknoti tatvataha. Without Atma Jnana, Veda Jnana is not possible. Tatvatah, in terms of the real meaning. Everybody who knows Sanskrit can understand some meaning. This is another problem today. No person who has a very flowery language, who understands the grammar very well, then people run behind them. That is also there. Because the linguistic skill is there. In some Siddhantas, they use very, very flowery language. literature to talk about things, then people get mesmerized by the bhasha, how it is presented, the flowery language, like the politicians do these days, no? Capture people by language. That is a tool. Language is a tool. But here, tattvataha, the essence of it is not in terms of how flowery it is. How real it is what matters. Therefore, it's not the linguistic ability. Okay, to some extent, language is essential to make artha nirnaya. But we are not dismissing that. But then it is not about how flowery, how imaginatively one presents it. That is not the important. What is important is the content. Anadhyatma vidwan ज्ञातुं न शक्नोति तत्त्वतः. Tattvataha, a linguistic person can understand broadly, but a linguistic plus the one who has the jnanam only can understand the import of Vedic sentences, vakyas, and also should be able to teach. That is another one. Some people can understand but may not be in have the skills, ability to teach, because teaching is another kind of skill. Some people may not have tattva jnana but will be good speakers. They'll tell some good stories, bring real world examples to say what they want to say. Okay, they'll be good teachers. There are people, that's where the other wrong siddhantas, theologies, and other things have come into existence, because the people who created those were good in teaching, in presenting their thoughts. They had, see, then only it will become famous, no? There was some acharya who created this particular philosophy, means that acharya should have had some vibhuti, Ishwara vibhuti should have been there. So that is there. So then only that person can teach. So sometimes understand tattvataha, but if you are not able to teach, then also sampradaya doesn't propagate. Nahi anadhyatma with kaschit kriyapalam upashnute. Itihi manavam vachanam. The Manu has said that adhyatma vidya is essential to, because see, this is how it is, right? Once you have the picture of totality, then individual things can be explained. But if you don't have the knowledge of totality, then you will not be able to do samanvaya for of all the sentences. So that is why the sampradaya is important. One by one, if you learn each shloka, you won't get to the total, because to understand that one shloka itself, you need the totality jnana. Therefore, sampradaya is the teaching. Guru Sishya sampradaya is essential. Shravana has to be done. Gain that total knowledge, then each vakya becomes meaningful. That is what is shown here. This sentence means this. Idam evam param vakyam adaha anya param vakyam iti jnanam. How does it happen? Only if you have the jnanam of all that is there. Therefore, very beautiful. This is very good discussion that Karika Kara has picked up, because people have this natural question. So many siddhantas are there, so many things are there, philosophies are there, they are mutually contradictory. How do I know what is right, what is wrong? Why can't we do synthesis of all of them? Why are you guys fighting? Some people have this question, no? Why are you fighting? Already Hinduism is divided. Now you guys are fighting these philosophies. We should not do all that. We should take everybody along. See, discussing Siddhanta doesn't mean it's a healthy discussion. That's all. You have a point of view. I have a point of view from Sampradaya perspective. So you have Shraddha in your Sampradaya. I have Shraddha in my Sampradaya. We come to a Samvada. Discuss what is right or wrong. So if you get convinced, you get convinced. If you don't get convinced, that's fine, right? There is no problem. We are not going to hit each other with sticks because of this. That is what is healthy, because there is always a possibility. See, there is never going to be a world where everybody believes in one thing. That world is all imaginary. It was never there, it will never be there. So the tracks of these things will always be there, because it's all based on karma, no? People's karma. And as part of that, having this discourse, dialogue is also part of it. So Shastra, that's why some people only will have this full vision, complete vision. And you have to bring forth. That's why Atmavid only can have the whole vision, is what Manu also says. Which means other kind of interpretations were also always there. Manu also has to accept this, right? See, when you say only this person can have full vision, then you are accepting that other people will not have this vision. They will have some idea. They will come up with some theories, theologies. Will also, he is saying, so during Manu's days, during Acharya's days, before him, there has been number of interpretations. And today also it is the same. And tomorrow also it will be same. There will be Vaidika darshanas, Avaidika darshanas, non-darshanikas, Laukikavadis. All these will be there in any point of time in the Jagat. And it's a reality. So we have to keep looking at it. And whoever has the Ishvara Anugraha gains this jnanam and attains moksha. That is how creation is. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.